There is a simple four-word phrase I'm going to invite us to ponder this morning. On its face, this phrase, this inquiry, isn't necessarily positive or negative. It's simply a request for information or clarification. And yet, more often than not, depending on the tone and the person saying it, these four words are bound to strike fear into our heart of hearts, or at least make us squirm a little bit. What have you done? You see what I mean? How many of us, when we hear, "What have you done?" have a happy memory or a quality feeling of accomplishment? I'll be honest, the only thing I could think of where I would actually like to hear this would be in the loving and excited tone of one of my parents taking in some arts and crafts project I had proudly stuck to the refrigerator. "What have you done?" they'd say with sincere delight. And to be fair, I'll confess that when I did hear "What have you done?" it was usually for something a little less savory and not related to an art class masterpiece. It was usually to draw attention to something not so great. This is where we meet the shrewd, dishonest manager in this morning's parable from Luke. As we see, this is quite the sticky story. What's the lesson we're meant to glean from this account? Sure, we have the classic, love God more than wealth. But why bring the manager and his questionable accounting approach into things? I wonder if it's because there is something far more profound and far more relatable underneath this story. Something that you can't serve God and wealth doesn't quite capture. To review, here's what we're presented with. Charges were brought to the rich man that his manager was squandering his property. This would have been a pretty severe violation of trust, even if it didn't necessarily result in some huge loss for the rich man. It's the principle of the thing, right? You're given a job to do, and you simply aren't doing that job. If you're told, "Go be a good steward of what's been given to you," and you go on and be a not-so-good steward, job failed. So the rich man calls the manager in and says, "What is this I hear about you? What have you done? Show me your books. Pull out your record. I want to see what you've been up to." And he takes away his position. Y'all catch that? He's on his way out. The manager had already effectively lost his job. What does he do then? As the proverbial banker's boxes are stacked in the corner of his office and his passwords are being reset, pulls out his Rolodex in a panic and starts making some calls. He brings in some debtors and does something truly outlandish. Without any type of permission or authorization, he lightens their loads, reduces their bills. I mean, what a great way to endear yourself to folks if you're going to be looking for a job, right? But what sense are we to make of this? Especially when we see the rich man commending, applauding the manager for acting shrewdly. Now, I don't know about you all, but if I were the rich man, I think there'd be a very easy, very justifiable reason to be pretty darn angry. Perhaps we'd feel cheated. Shoot, talk about burning the bridge out of town as soon as you've crossed it. But maybe we look at this a different way. See, here's what we know from this story. This manager really wasn't doing a great job. Period. Whatever his style was, whatever his approach to organization was, whatever his policies toward his master's debtors were, they weren't working. They were in some way bad or deficient. They simply weren't getting the job done. So in this moment where the rubber meets the road, I wonder if the words of the prophet Isaiah were ringing in his ears. See, I'm doing a new thing. If he'd been doing something that were working, there'd be no need for a new thing. But it wasn't. So he tried something else, something new, something innovative, reckless, outlandish, and perhaps truly unbelievable. What is this thing that he does? He gives away what isn't his to give, and he is commended for it. You know what I think? I think this manager realized something about the rich man's riches. I think this manager saw the utter abundance of the estate he managed and thought to himself, let me share some of this bounty with my friends and neighbors. They'll appreciate it. I can picture the rich man coming back, asking the manager, what have you done? After all these bills have been rewritten, and offering an approving nod, something like, The God we encounter from day to day is not a God of penalties and disappointments. If God were that way, I don't think we'd have this story, or at least it would have ended after, and the rich man fired the manager. God is a God of multiple chances, of doing the radical thing. What we have and enjoy as an inheritance is a trove of riches. As a colleague of mine says, the gospel is gold, pure gold. That the God of the universe would love us, love you, love me, to the extent that God would live a human life in order to prove and assure that death is not the last word, is the most fantastic thing any of us will ever encounter. That we get a tangible demonstration of this hope when we gather around the table is simply miraculous. That we are surrounded by a beautiful creation and grafted into intentional communities of care is simply inspirational. What grace! What gifts we enjoy! And what are we supposed to do with all of it? We are supposed to give it away. Give it all away. Hold nothing back. Be reckless and outlandish with spreading this grace and good news. Giving away something this valuable is truly unbelievable. In the reading this morning from Jeremiah, we hear this lamentation. Hark, the cry of my poor people from far and wide in the land. For the hurt of my poor people, I am hurt. I mourn, and dismay has taken hold of me. Is there no balm in Gilead? Is there no physician there? Why then has the health of my poor people not been restored? What can our response be? In light of this trove of grace and goodness that we each have access to, there is no more need for crying. There is a balm in Gilead. There is a great physician here. Health and help and fullness of life are at hand. That we are inhabitants and stewards of a kingdom of God that is intended to be given away is stunning and astonishing. To meet a God who is a God defined by such abundance, an inexhaustible supply of joy and comfort and love and hope, is a gift. And one day, we might be asked to reflect on what we've done to give those riches away. How have we showered those around us with the truckloads of blessings that we've enjoyed? What have you done? What are you doing? What have you done to spread this inspiring word and to bend this beloved and broken creation back toward its loving Creator? And I hope our answer can be, I gave it away. I gave it away when folks were hungry. I gave it away when folks needed a roof. I gave it away when folks simply asked for my presence. I gave it away because I will always have more than enough. So what have I done? What have we done? We gave it away because there's always more where this came from. Thanks be to God.